It took me a while, but I finally got around to watching Perfect Blue. Going into the film, I wanted to make sure I paid close attention and took notes on my thoughts on what was happening while watching it, so by the time I had finished, I had enough to write a script for a video. So, here we are. Except I don't have many thoughts. The entire time I was watching it, I was really confused, so I feel kind of inept writing this right now. What am I going to examine and break down if I don't understand the film? What substantial input am I supposed to offer? So I did my due diligence. I read up and watched some videos to help me get a better grasp on the movie, but still, I feel like I don't get it fully. Even after trying to look at it from different angles and listening to other people's interpretations, I'm still kinda lost. Then it dawned on me. Maybe it's supposed to be that way. Maybe you're not supposed to get it all the way and understand everything perfectly. Maybe, just maybe, Perfect Blue is supposed to be confusing. I just want to say before I get into things that this video is merely about how I interpreted things and how I felt and the things I thought about while watching it and afterwards. If I get something wrong, please don't kill me, this is just my way of seeing things. Perfect Blue is a 1997 psychological horror that follows the life of Mima Kirigo, a pop idol turned actress who just left her music group Cham and is starting her first acting gig. Mima leaving her music group was something that wasn't easy for her to do, but it was a necessary step she had to take, as she revealed in a phone call with her mother that being a pop star was having a negative effect on her. Shortly after Mima leaves the group, she starts seeing a ghost of her past self as a pop idol that taunts her constantly. Mima can barely do anything or go anywhere without this illusion showing itself. The way I initially interpreted this was that the ghost was a result of Mima being unsure or regretful of her decision to leave her music group behind and become an actress, that is. At the same time these things start happening, it's apparent that someone was upset with Mima's choice. She receives a phone call where nothing is said and you can only hear heavy breathing, and then immediately after the phone call she receives a fax that reads traitor. Right away, these events clearly start to bother Mima on some level. While shooting for the drama series she's now a part of, the lights get extremely bright for her and visually you can tell that she's overwhelmed. She starts obsessively repeating the phrase "Who are you?" to herself over and over again. While on set, Mr. Tadakoro opens a letter and it explodes in his face. The letter or note, now in pieces and covered in blood, read, ... is a warning. The next one will be real, in all caps. While at home, Mima discovers a website called Mima's Room. Every day it accurately describes what she did throughout her day from the point of view of Mima herself, but she is not the one who started the website. She's not the one writing on the website. This is when things, for me at least, started to get a little confusing. We know for a fact Mima isn't the one who started the website and is writing on it every day, so you'd think it'd have to be someone close to Mima who knows what she's up to all the time. But seemingly, Mima's circle is relatively small and no one seems untrustworthy on the surface, her closest friend being her manager, Rumi. So we have to assume at this point that Mima is either dealing with a stalker or someone close to her doing this behind her back. Adding on to the pressure of leaving a successful job for acting, the letter bomb, and now the website, it's clear as day that this is all having a real negative effect on Mima. I know I already put a trigger warning in the beginning, but in a few seconds I'm going to talk about the R word, so if that bothers you, you can skip ahead a few minutes or click off, I guess. Okay, so things continue to get worse for Mima. She's asked to shoot a scene for the TV show where she gets R-worded. It's plainly obvious that Mima doesn't want to do it and is hesitant to say yes, but she succumbs to the pressure put onto her and the weight of wanting to become a successful actress and does anyways. There's so much baggage that comes with things like this. It doesn't matter if it's acting, fake, or just for a TV show or movie. Having to film a scene that depicts one of the grossest levels of violence any person could ever partake in is traumatic in itself. During the filming of the scene, Mima starts to black out. After she gets home, she has a breakdown and cries to herself, admitting that she didn't want to shoot the R-word scene. The only reason she said yes to the scene is because she didn't want to trouble the people who gave her an acting opportunity as a rookie actress. You start to feel bad for Mima because none of this would have ever happened if she never left Cham. She went off and took a chance on herself and pursued something more fulfilling, and in return she has to deal with all of this trauma. While we can assume Mima's mental state is probably deteriorating, this is when she starts to see the past version of herself in the mirror. The pop idol version of Mima pops up wherever she goes and taunts her with phrases phrases like, "Isn't that the job you wanted?" and "Nobody likes you anymore, you're tarnished." Shortly after this starts happening, the scriptwriter for Mima's TV show is killed in an elevator. All of this becomes a big burden for Mima, as every day things never fail to get worse and worse. If all of this wasn't heavy enough, things are about to get extremely puzzling fast. Mima starts to get nightmares about the fake version of herself she keeps seeing, her potential stalker, and the photographer who took pictures of her while she stripped. Mima has a nightmare about herself, or maybe the fake Mima instead, murdering the photographer. This cycle of things being depicted as real life, just for Mima to wake up in her bed and it all being chalked up to a nightmare, repeats itself either 3 or 4 times. For me, this is when I really had no idea what's real and what wasn't real. Is Mima going insane? Are these nightmares depictions of urges that Mima may have? Is she unknowingly acting on some of those urges? Is some of this actually happening and we just don't know it yet? I had and have still so many questions. One of those questions was answered though, because it turns out the photographer Mr. Murano was actually stabbed to death in real life, the same way it was in Mima's nightmare. Mima gets up out of her bed and opens her closet, just to find bloody clothes in there. We know as an audience that those clothes were the ones used to kill Mr. Murano, but Mima doesn't know that yet. She freaks out and pushes the clothes back into her closet. This chain of events couldn't be more perplexing. Mima returns to the set of her drama series for another day of filming. The same day, Mima is shooting a scene where she killed somebody, and the same weapon used to kill Mr. Murano is laying on the ground in front of her, as well as Mr. Murano himself. Whether this is an illusion or not, I'm not sure. The way I interpreted this was Mima just hallucinating. Mima then wakes up, and again, it seemingly was just another nightmare. But after she wakes up, immediately she's back on set, shooting another scene for the TV show. Things couldn't be more hazy and unclear. This scene is one you have to remember though. In her drama series, Mima is playing a character that has dissociative identity disorder, and apparently she committed a string of crimes and she was a different persona. Her original persona, the person she actually is, barely exists anymore. Now, entering the last 20 minutes of the movie, some pieces of the puzzle are put into place. Mima is walking down a hallway by herself when she's approached by a man known as Mimanya, who is obsessed with Mima. But not the actual Mima herself, rather the version of Mima when she was a pop star, and he's convinced that the quote-unquote real Mima is the person emailing him all the time. Mimanya tries to murder Mima because he thinks she's just an impersonator and not the actual Mima. Luckily, he fails and Mima knocks him out with a hammer. Poetically, Mima stands over Mimanya in the same way she stood over the person she killed in her drama series. Amazing directing. But then again, we ask ourselves, did any of that actually happen? As Mima is standing over Mimanya, the lights come on and the crew from the drama series applauds Mima like they just shot another scene for the show. Mima's manager Rumi finds Mima in the hallway and Mima takes her to where everything happened, but Mimanya is gone. Or maybe he was never there in the first place. Now we're at the final scene, by far my favorite in the film. Mima, back in her room, calls Mr. Tadakoto, and it's revealed that both Tadakoto and Mimanya are dead. If I ever felt like things were finally starting to make sense a little bit, that reveal definitely threw all of that out of the window completely. Going into the last few minutes of the film, I still didn't have the slightest clue to what was happening. Mima once again sees the pop idol version of herself and they have one last battle. We find out that the entire time, Mima's closest friend and manager Rumi was behind everything. It turns out that Rumi actually had dissociative identity disorder like I mentioned before, and she lived vicariously through her client. She was the one who created the Mima's room site, she was the one emailing Mimanya, and she was the one who sent the letter bomb, the fax that said traitor, etc. It was Rumi the entire time. Or so we think. The beautiful thing about this film is that everyone can have their own unique interpretations of what happened. Those are my favorite types of movies. Ones that make you think. Ones that make you question every little thing, line, and detail. I love Perfect Blue. It's supposed to be confusing. If you made it this far, then like always, I thank you so much for watching and listening to what I had to say. If you like content like this, then I suggest you subscribe. I cover music, movies. I'm going to try and start talking about some TV too, maybe The Boys. I don't know. But yeah, I got videos like this coming out multiple times a week. So if you liked it, then make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you soon. All of my own, doing shit solo. You can't come my way. Knowing me, I never like photos. I ain't got time today. Yeah, I pour it up, drinking till I've had enough. Saying I'm so far.
speak, yeah, I talk